Let's examine a couple other aspects of this U.S. rule and Joe's loan of the partial payments. Let's say, first of all, this is the amount of interest he paid after 50 days, on day 80, and on day 90. Here's the total interest that Joe paid. Now, unless he was saving some money, it would have been pretty foolish of him to walk in on day 50 and pay off $600 and walk in on day 80 and pay off $800 if he could have just waited till day 90 and paid the whole thing. He must have been saving money. Let's see how much money he saved. The way we find out how much money Joe saved by making those partial payments is we say how much interest would he have paid if he had borrowed the whole amount for the whole time. So let's figure that out. Whole amount for whole time the whole amount was $5,000, wasn't it? And the whole time was 90 days. So let's multiply 5,000 times 11% times 90 divided by 360. How much? 137? 137.50? All right, that's how much interest he would have paid if he had paid the whole loan. I'm sorry, if he had waited till day 90 to pay anything. All right, if he had borrowed the whole amount for the whole time without making any payments. Those were optional payments on his part. Now, you want to make sure that when you borrow money, you make sure there's no prepayment penalty clause in the loan wording. So there was no penalty for Joe to walk in anytime he wanted to and pay off any amount. Tracy? That's exactly right. Yeah, and we'll look at that in a later chapter as well. Now, another question they might ask us is, how much did Joe save by walking in and making those partial payments? Well, he saved the difference between these two, didn't he? How much is it?
872.
878? No. 872? Okay, that's how much he saved. Now, with the price of gas these days, we'd say driving to the bank might have cost him more than he saved. But again, it's percentage-wise. If we were borrowing $50,000 and made a $6,000 payment and an $8,000 payment on day 50 and 80, we would have saved $87.20. It works proportionally.
It makes sense to me now looking at it from that direction.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad that cleared up for you, Dave. Now, let's talk one more thing as far as a practical thing on loans. Joe walked in on day 50 and he paid $600. If Joe wanted to save even more interest, what could he have done differently on day 50? He could have paid more than $600, couldn't he? He would have still owed this much interest for the first 50 days, but then he would have had a lot less that he was borrowing for the rest of the time, and he would have paid less interest. In other words, the more principal you pay, or the less you borrow, the less interest you pay. Okay, so he could have paid more on day 50. What if he was going to make his first payment of $600? That's a given. His first payment is going to be $600. What could he have done differently to save more interest? He could have done it earlier, couldn't he? Instead of waiting 50 days. Yeah, he could have paid it on day 30 or day 12 or day 11. Okay? What's the earliest he could have paid off? He could have paid it off on day 1. And what's the most he could have paid? Yeah. What if he paid it off on day 0? He'll still get 1 day's interest. But in other words, if he had paid the whole amount right at the beginning, he wouldn't have paid it. In other words, if he never borrowed the money, that's the way to save the most money, is not to borrow it, to pay cash. Okay? The only reason we borrow money is because we don't have the cash and we're not willing or not able to wait. Okay? That's right, the old deferred gratification. Okay, so Time is money. When you're borrowing money, you want to borrow the least amount possible at the lowest rate you can find for the least amount of time you can. You want to pay that loan off as quick as you can. And my children are learning that with some credit cards, and that's good.